Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm River from the Portland City Gym. Still not editing this part out. And today we're going to be going over the deck I took to POG regionals. Not POG regionals. POG championships. I accidentally changed something about the deck. I don't know what, but apparently I only have 59 cards, and I know that I don't have 59 cards, so if I discard the changes. And if PTCGO doesn't seem like being an absolute jerk, okay, there you go. So as you can see here, the deck I played at POG, the POG Championships, was Baby BlOwNs. Now, I did make it today too, which I think gives this deck some degree of credibility. There are a few things I'm going to be changing about it, because there were a few cards here that were absolutely freaking useless. And when I say a few cards, I mean one particular card that we're going to get to in a little bit. But this is the deck I took. It's a pretty standard BlOwNs stuff. A few things out of the ordinary, like I play Hoopa from Unified Minds, and I play 4 copies of BlOwNs, sorry, instead of 3 copies. So that's just a few things that I did change from like your standard BlOwNs lists. Now, I will say that this deck took too much playtesting, and more than I'd care to admit, to finally craft this piece of art that you see before you. The record that I had in the end was 7-3, so I just barely made it today too. I remember I went 5-0 until I kind of just went on a losing streak. I lost 1, and then I won 1, so I was at a 6-1. Then I went to 6-2. Then I went to 6-3, and then I went to 7-3. It was pretty wacky. So I'll go over a few of the matchups that I can remember at least. A few of the things that I'll be changing for day 2. I am going to be playing the same list on day 2, with of course, like I said, just a few more changes. So this is it. Cramorant V has won me 2 or 3 games. Definitely worth the 1 slot. Of course, as Cramorant V, being able to snipe Dedenes is very, very strong, especially in matchups like ADPization, where you can kind of just go ahead and kill an ADP, kill a Dedenne on the bench, and then you can just go ahead and burst for game. BlOwNs GX is another card that has won me probably the same amount of games as Cramorant, maybe a little more. It's absolutely crazy. This deck is like hyper consistent. Of course, it doesn't win every single matchup. However, there are a few matchups that it does do really, really well against. So I'll get into those matchups, like I said. First, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the list. None of my usual deck profiles. I'm going to go through a few of the things. Hoopa from Unified Minds makes a really good pivot attacker. It's 1 energy. If you're kind of running low on fire energy, you can use this to kind of soften things up. And it's a good 1-prizer. It does a little bit of damage. A good 1-prizer, only a 1 energy attack that can do some pretty moderate damage. And sometimes we won't actually mind having things getting knocked out, because most of them are just 1 prize card, and we have Oricorio GX. So Hoopa's definitely very, very strong. Not taking that out 100%. Hasn't won me games, but it's definitely assisted. It has a nice team assist, 4 copies of BlOwNs. I'm not going to go over it. BlOwNs GX, again, not really going to go over it. Dedenne, Jirachi, yeah, standard stuff. Zacian, I'm debating on. Zacian's been really, really good, but also it puts you in a position where you're going, where it's only really useful if you're going first or drawing really badly. And you really are going to be going first only 25% of the time. That's just based on probability. Because, if your opponent's a 50-50 shot of choosing, what's it called? If your opponent has a 50-50 shot of choosing going first or second, if they win, then if you win, which is already a 50-50 shot, then you will have a 100% chance if you win that 50-50 shot. So I think this kind of balances out into 75%. Zacian V is only really good 25% of the time, but then again, in that 25%, it is very, very strong. So get rid of it, keep it. Both of them are pretty good. One Oricorio because it's Blacephalon, and honestly, Oricorio is really, really strong in this deck. I did lose to an Eternatus because of Oricorio. I only had a benched Zacian, and they weren't actually able to knock out the Zacian. They only had 7 Pokemon in play, including Eternatus, of course. So they weren't able to knock out the Zacian. However, Oricorio was ripe for the picking. It can be a big liability. Also, if you ever go up against something like Pikarom, it is a perfect 170, so Tag Bolts absolutely kills it. So it can be a liability, but in those cases where, because POG is an open deck list tournament, if they run themselves out of boss's orders or forms of gusting, then Oricorio is very, very strong. And if it isn't really like a gusting or a snipe kind of deck, Oricorio is also very, very strong there. Then we play 4 Energy Retrieval, 4 Flint, 4 Crystal, Standard, 1 copy of Palpad. Palpad has been kind of like the MVP of the deck. Okay, not the MVP, okay, let's not get that far. But Palpad has definitely been very, very helpful, whether it attributed to me landing my Welders on my Stellar Wishes or not. I'm definitely not taking it down. Let's just say that. 4 Quick Ball because it's Quick Ball. 4 Scoop Up Net because we can scoop up things such as Jirachi, sorry, or Hoopa or Blacephalon, in case you ever get them stuck in the active. Of course, you want to be able to Stellar Wish on turn 1 as consistently as possible, because that extra turn 1 consistency is extremely, extremely important. And also, if you do Scoop Up Net a Jirachi, you have a switch in your hand or another Scoop Up Net, you can Stellar Wish multiple times with the same Jirachi. And you have 2 Jirachis in play, you can Stellar Wish 3 to 4 times in one turn with just 2 Jirachi. So Scoop Up Net's very, very strong for combos like that. 3 Switch. I didn't find the room nor the need for Switch. Not really throughout the whole tournament. I haven't really found that I was starving for a Switch, unless no, actually, I was never starving for a Switch, because the one time where they did boss's order stall me, it was Vicalock, which I'll get to in a little bit. But not once have I ever really been dying for a Switch. We have a lot of draw power in this deck, between Heat Factory, Welder, Oricorio, Zacian, Cramorant if it's really necessary, Dedenne. All of the cards I can thin out are decks such as Fiery Flint, Quick Ball, Giant Hearth. This deck has a really good way of finding everything it needs to with its excessive draw power. 1 copy of Giant Hearth. Giant Hearth just lets you get an extra 2 fire energy in your hand. If you get stamped to a really low hand size or a Marnied and you lose all the fire energy that you had in your hand, Giant Hearth is a good way to at least recover some of it back. 1 Heat Factory, Prism Star. Heat Factory is kind of a staple in Blacephalon. Heat Factory is just very, very strong. It adds to that excessive draw power that we really need to keep going. Like I said, I think the deck could live without Oricorio, but that's really it. Heat Factory is really needed. Dedenne, Jirachi, all of it. It's a huge machine, right? That's really consistent yet inconsistent machine. So that's Stadiums. 1 Channeler. Now people always say it's like a joke, oh, you can't just put 1 Channeler in your deck and say you beat Vikavolt. Well, that's exactly what happened. I put 1 Channeler in my deck and all of a sudden I beat Vikavolt. That was my Vikavolt matchup. I had kind of, I guess you could say, 1.5 Vikavolt matchups, because I played a Pikarom with that played Vikavolt, and I did lose to that, sadly. 1 Channeler wasn't enough. It was already too late. I was already set behind too much before I hit it. But Channeler is definitely very, very strong. And hey, if you're not going up against something like Vikavolt, then just don't play the Channeler. This deck can always use things to throw away with things like Fiery Flint. So Channeler, it's really good. Maybe even a 2nd copy, since item lock seems like it's going to be very, very strong. So yeah. 1 Ultra Force Carton Void. This card was absolutely freaking useless. Not once did I ever use it. It was always just 100% discard fodder for Flint or Quick Ball. That was it. I'm probably going to take this out for day 2. I'm willing to risk going against Obstagoon. God, what am I saying? Nobody's gonna play Obstagoon in day 2. So I'm taking out Ultra Force Carnivore. 4 Welder because it's a fire deck and it's Welder. And then 1 a Skateboard with the 4 Scoop of Net and the 3 Switch. A Skateboard isn't as necessary. Maybe if you wanted to play an extra copy of a Skateboard, there are some things that you can take out. However, 1 copy of a Skateboard did me just fine. Like I said, never once did I ever have like the huge need to switch. And then 13 Fire Energy. 13 Fire Energy is like perfect. 14 is still just as consistent. You know, in a Baby BlOwNs deck, it's very tough to have too much energy. But then 12 is like the bare minimum. So I feel like 13, 14 is kind of that sweet spot. So yeah, this is the list. I did qualify for day 2, and I put a lot of testing behind it. So I think that this is a good, proven list. So yeah. Now, I'm not going to do any matches with it, mostly for time reasons. So I don't have much time. So I'm just going to go over a few of my matchups. My first matchup was ADPZ, and I absolutely destroyed him. He kind of drew really badly. He kind of just, well, no, he didn't draw badly. I just drew absolutely brokenly, if that's not a word, but I just drew way too good. I went second. He started ADP, Water Energy. He had a pretty decent turn 1, but then I just went and just completely BlOwned in his face. That's the best way to put it. I BlOwned it in his face, right? I go and I Fireball Circus, discard 6 energy on the first turn, knock out his ADP. He drops me a sad face or whatever. I'm like, I know, this deck's absolutely filthy. He goes into, like, I think it was a Crobat with an air balloon, and then he gets another ADP, and he's like, okay, there's no way he's gonna get a Fireball Circus, 6 energy again, right? Wrong. That's exactly what I did. So he put down an ADP. He actually got the Altered Creation off, but it was too late for him. I knocked out 1 ADP. I knocked out another. The game was done. 2 turns. That's it. It was absolutely filthy. Oh my god. So that was round 1. Round 2, I also won. I won it against Control. Now, people overthink the Control matchup because it's like, oh, well, F1 is so aggressive. It needs to dig for like everything always. That's not true. What you need to do in the Control matchup is all you need to do is just words. What you need to do in the Control matchup is just get as many Fire Energy in your hand as possible, and then just let it sit there. Fireball Circus, time after time. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure it's that Cryolock, kind of like a Control Cryogonal deck. And he just kind of like, he did the standard Cryogonal stuff. I was asleep with Slumbering Forest and Mareep and all that. I got really lucky in that matchup. I'm gonna tell you that. I got really lucky in it. I got out of sleep a bit too many times. Which is one of the reasons why I'd consider another switching card in this deck, purely for the Control matchup. But, yeah. So, I did get out of sleep a few too many times. And also, they just have a lot of low HP Pokemon, you know? I knocked out one of their Mareeps. I knocked out the Primate Wisdom Oranguru. I knocked out the UPR Oranguru. I knocked out their Cryogonals. It's just a lot of low HP Pokemon, which means that you don't really need to use too many of like your digging cards. Just get all of your Fire Energy in your hand and stop digging. That's it. Once you do that, maybe like Fire Crystal like once, and you got the game. And hopefully break out of sleep. That's really all you have to do. Which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Okay. My third round. Oh god, my dog. And the third round. What was the third round? I can't remember. Oh right, my third round was Metal Box. That was a little bit tougher actually, which you'd think would be the opposite, but no, actually, they played a lot of Metal Frying Pans, obviously. One time I actually discarded 2 times, twice the amount of energy as I needed to, because I didn't realize that they didn't have a Metal Frying Pan on, so that kind of set me back a bit. That game, Burst GX, just knock out a Zacian, knock out a Luke Metal, and bam, you got it. Burst GX. It's broken. Fourth matchup, I cannot remember for the life of me. And then, I know I went against. Sorry, I know I went against 2 Centiscorches. I think 1 or 2 Eternatuses. Don't quote me on that. And yeah. Oh, I went against 2 Picaroms. One Picarom played Vikavolt, the other didn't. Guess which one I won? The one without Vikavolt, and the one I lost was the one with Vikavolt. Who would have thought? So the last Picarom matchup was actually my final match, the 10th round. I felt kind of bad because I just absolutely demolished that person. He what did he do? He just played normally, right? Boltoned, he kind of had a slower start. Boltoned, Electrify. I went first in that round, actually, so keep that in mind. So I had a pretty, solid, a busted turn 1. I got the Zacian, I got a Dedenne, I got a couple Fire Energy in the discard pile so I can get them back later. I did get 2 of my 3 switches in the discard, which kind of sucked, but whatever. And honestly, once it came to my second turn, I just freaking popped off, man. I knocked out his active Boltund, 2 prizes. I knocked out, what is it? Oh, his Picarom? Bam. Done. And then I bursted, and that was it. 3 turns. Oh my god. This deck is filthy. So, the Vikavolt one, I did get Channeler. I got it too late. I got it way too late. Yeah. It really sucks. I do expect to see a lot more item lock in day 2, which is why I'm going to play a second Channeler in place of my useless Forest Carton Void. Maybe I'll change around a few things, but not much. All around, I'm really proud of how this deck turned out, just overall. And I'm really sad that I didn't encounter any goons, because I really would have liked to use Ultra Force Convoy at least once. So, in the end, record was 7-3, making it to day 2. Probably give you guys a report on day 2 tomorrow. And I'll probably not win, but I'm going to at least try to aim for top 8. You know, I don't need to win. I just want that sweet, dope playmat. So anyway, guys, Baby BlOwNs, definitely not slept on, or shouldn't be slept on. I went 5-0 for the first 5 rounds. I mean, obviously. If my talking sounds weird, it's because I'm eating Snickers. Sorry. So, sorry. So, like I said, I'm expecting to see a lot of item lock. I forget what I was gonna say, but whatever. Anyway, thank you all for watching. This has just been my little tournament report. I'll tell you guys what happens tomorrow if I make it to top 8. If I make it to top 16 at least. I mean, at least top 32 has a cash prize. So I'll see if I can make it there. But until then, this is River from the Portland City Gym. Still not editing this out. Hold on. Still not editing this part out. And I'll see you all later. Bye. Things are still going slow. There you go. Okay.